Hi everyone. I'm Dave from In the Music. This is the first sort of so I don't know whether you call them podcasts or whatever, because it actually is more of a video sort of chat really. And I got my good friend Lukey B, or better known as andThen, joining. Now me and Lukey go back a little while. Luke used to play for us a while back, but since then he's gone into bigger and better things. But hi Luke, welcome aboard.
Oh, Dave, nice to see you, mate. Yeah.
It's been a while, but it's been a while. But the first obviously question for me is andThen. So obviously I know it was Lukey B, but andThen, how did that all come about?
So when I was playing for you, it was me and Di as a Tiny Twins at one point, which was ironic. Yeah. But yeah, no, andThen, yeah. So I've been released under Lenny Barton for about 10 years, but if I'm completely honest with you, I just released on few medium-sized labels, didn't really push it, and it's more techno-y stuff. So I had about I'd say about a 5-year break, like having the kids and that, and you know what it's like. It just gets like really, really busy. So I didn't really make any music, and also what I found was I was making music that I didn't play, and that's ridiculous. So for the limited gigs that I was having, I wasn't playing the music I was making because it was too tough. So andThen was lots of different reasons. So andThen as in, and then what next? So if I've done this now, this is my sort of like last punt of making a decent go of it. But also it comes to my kids. My kids talk a lot and they go, and then. So that's got two meanings really. So yeah. And actually you're the first, I've done quite a few interviews recently, and you're the first person that asked me why andThen. And really? I think it sounds cool. Yeah. I think it sounds cool as well.
Yeah.
Because there's also like top ones like and me and all that and all that, isn't there? So andThen, yeah.
Yeah, and your kids will obviously remember it.
Yes, absolutely, and yeah, they do. But it's just that they you know what kids are like, especially how old my kids are. They just talk, and then. So yeah, that's what my son used to do. So yeah, I thought it was a good name for it.
So when was andThen born? So how long ago?
About probably only about 14 months ago.
Right.
It was probably at the start of lockdown. I thought I've got a bit more time, because I used to in my job I used to drive quite a lot, so I don't have much traveling time. I used to make tunes now and then. I fell out of love with it a little bit, didn't really, because of the kids and stuff. I thought, well, actually, here's an opportunity now to really knuckle down, and if I put the work in now, prep, once things do release, well, I didn't think it was going to be this long, but once things do release, I'll have a few releases that are underneath me. And also what I found was I'd never use stuff I learned in work, like in a business sense, and use it in music. I just had to cut them separately, and a penny dropped for me. I thought, well, you know what, quite stuff around marketing, engagement and stuff. Why don't you use it in like your music and have a go of it? So I did. And one regret music-wise is not sort of keeping up with it and just partying too much and just not really taking it too seriously. So I thought I've got a bit of an older head on me. I can probably do that now, and also got some contacts within the industry now, which is really, really helpful. So it's probably about 40 months ago, really. Maybe it's a midlife crisis. But we'll find out.
Well, yeah. So I'm going to take you back, right? So let's take you right back. So how music for you, right? So what was music? So when was you think actually start? Was it like your kids' ages now? Was it later? How did music sort of grab you, and when did it grab you?
Oh, I can remember like dancing around to like the Police stuff, like being tiny. Like one of my first memories is around music.
Yeah.
Always dancing, always into music. My mum and dad are not particularly musical, but they've always loved music. So that's everything from like Motown stuff to like Luther Vandross to funk and soul. They love it. They've always played music in the house.
Did they have the same system with their father, or was it one different or the other, or similar?
No, both similar type of music, like sort of like the Lionel Richies and all that when I was growing up. So and then I think I think it was the Michael Jackson Bad album. When I was little, my mum bought it for me. It's probably the first album I actually had. Was conscious of having it. And I had it on like a cassette player, completely like just looped and loved it. And I think music. And then I started playing a few instruments. I started learning the drums, and then I started learning the keyboard and stuff.
Oh, did you?
Which obviously helps now. But I remember sat in my room for hours, just making my own songs and stuff. Like as a kid, I mean, nothing serious, but then it was always one of the first sort of synthesizers, so you could make your own sounds and stuff on it. Like a really early age, I remember doing that. So that sort of like stuck to me.
Yeah.
But I suppose dance music wise, I remember having like one of those early Now albums, and like one side used to be rock, didn't it? And the other side used to be like love songs, and then like the new electronic music. I can't remember what ones there were on there, but like I thought, cool, I really like this stuff. Like that's what I got into. Then started listening to like rave and stuff, Fantasia and all that type of stuff. So
yeah. Was you one of those that actually went to like the Fantasia, Helter Skelter, and all that? Or was you
no, so I went to House Techno once, and it was near me. It was a thing called Fusion.
Yeah.
So that was the southeast coast, so around sort of Southampton, Portsmouth, definitely Portsmouth, was a thing called Fusion. But because I was brought up in Aldershot, I lived in Aldershot. It's halfway between Southampton and London, so it's where all the DJs used to stop off. So there's quite a big rave scene, and I think a place called the Rhythm Station. A lot of my mates started DJing in there and ran local record stops. So I got into it and started MCing for them and stuff in the club.
So you started MCing?
That's how I got into it. So I was MCing, and then sort of the club shut down for various reasons, and then I just started DJing. Then at sort of mates parties and stuff, and then they used to have a couple of clubs nights. So I used to play there as well. So I was like 16, 17.
Yeah.
Playing like the early house stuff.
Did you actually own sort of paired turntables then? Or was you just...
Yeah, but it was what were they? I can't. Sound Lab belt drives.
Belt drives.
Yeah, Sound Lab belt drives. And you can mix on them. You can mix on anything. It was like mixing on like ice skates.
That's right. Yeah. I think that. I mean, Matt Joy had a pair of them. I think I had a go and I couldn't do it. So I take my hat off to you, buddy, if you could mix on them.
Yeah. But then learning on technique, you have to learn on the techniques, and again, that's another ball game. Do you know what? If I had techniques now, I wouldn't know what to do with them. Yeah. I've not touched records or techniques for at least 10 years.
Haven't you?
Definitely. Even more than that, I don't think. Yeah, no. I've only got like a digital setup in the house at the moment I practice on. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. I've still got the records in the loft and all that, but I've not. And I am itching to have a quick go, I think. Yeah. Might go to Pirate Studios or something, have a go, yeah.
This is a question then. So first vinyl you actually bought, any vinyl?
It was Andy C. Long Dark Tunnels to Valley of Shadows. Yeah.
Right, okay.
That's the first one, Ram Records. It was one of the first Ram Records on it, I think.
Do you remember where you bought it from?
Yeah, Dance 2 in Guildford.
God.
Yeah, so it was the only record shop. It still is, actually. It's the only record shop around here, really. So there was there's one in Aldershot called Future World, which is where my mate used to work. And then there was one in Guildford, but the one in Guildford opened first. So what's that, 90? Must be 92, 93, that track, I think. Yeah, it's my first one. So I was into like hardcore jungle, drum and bass, jungle at the time, wasn't it? So hardcore jungle and stuff like that. I wasn't really into house that much until I had an early Carl Cox Fantasia CD, which I've still got, and he's wicked. And what ones were they? It was the Fantasia ones that had like a house CD on the stuff, so didn't they? Yeah. So Brandon Block and all that, and then there's also the Ministry ones. Yes,
that's right. Yeah. Brandon Block. I remember them.
Brandon Block, was it Brandon Block?
Jeremy Healy on them.
Jeremy Healy, Tall Paul.
Yeah. Alistair Whitehead.
John Please Women. Alistair Whitehead. That's the ones.
Yeah. I remember them. So it's so what switched over to house? Obviously the Carl Cox, and then you just started going to club nights then, or?
Yeah, so I think that's the first club night I went to. It was Peach and Camden Palais. So it was just the cusp of when it was going to house, hard house / trancey. So it was getting a little bit starting to get a little bit trancey then. So yeah, you just go to Peach and Camden Palais on a Friday, Saturday night, and then obviously just went to university, just outside of Cardiff, and obviously you got the Hippo Club.
Yeah.
So yes, because that was about the same time, so that was about a similar type of music as well. So that's what I sort of moved across from that music into. I suppose everyone mostly did really, because that sort of the hardcore stuff got a little bit too fast and a bit cheesy. And then I think everyone started like getting into more trancey stuff and more early hard house sound, type sound. Yeah. It wasn't actually hard house yet, but it was more tougher.
Yeah.
So that was going to Peach kind of Escape from obviously Escape.
Yeah.
And then going to Hippo Club and stuff was there. And then when I was back home, we go to Camden Palais.
So was Lukey B the DJ born then, was he? And then in Cardiff, you were doing parties in the university?
Yeah, so I was. So I think, well, I started DJing in Students' Union, just doing all sorts. So we used to, obviously, Flirt was on the Thursday night, which was like the proper dance music night, which they ran.
Yeah.
I didn't DJ in that until later on, but then I started DJing Students' Union just to DJ. So I was just playing like cheesy stuff on like a Wednesday night and on a Friday. Wednesday night was carnage because it used to be a sports night. So it used to be really good fun. So and as a student, like getting 50 quid a night as a student in the late 90s, like early 2000s was good.
I was just going to say that.
I was well happy with that.
Yeah.
But then it was like you just take it for granted now, but you were DJing every week to like 500-600 people just going mad. I mean, it was like all sorts of music, but I always used to try and get in an hour of dance music at the end, like some trance and stuff and all that, some house music towards the end.
So would you have you and say, "Sir, have you got this to play? Have you got this?"
Yeah.
The words were a bit choice, most probably.
It was a bit more than that, yeah. It was, yeah. That's probably why it's putting me off doing cheesy keys and stuff. I used to do weddings and stuff and all that, and that was just tough work, mate. Anyone who can do a wedding, honestly, got so much respect, because that's one of the hardest jobs, doing a wedding DJ. I'd rather DJ in a smelly, dingy club somewhere. But yeah, no, he's obviously playing at making collections, playing on a Thursday night, and then running our own dance nights. So we had a dance music society up in university. That's where I met like Di and all them lot. And fun, actually, weirdly, Yorkie, I went to school with, so Michael Yorkie was part of it as well. I went to school with him. We went to every school together and ended up in the same university together, which is weird. Still
really?
Now today, so that's cool.
Yeah.
So and then we started getting some gigs and playing some bars and stuff in Cardiff then.
Yeah.
And then just started to meet new people, and then going to nights like Cool House, possibly.
Yeah.
Meeting people there, which that turned into a bit much a youth club. Everyone knew everyone. The vibe was brilliant. Obviously, the club was brilliant. Obviously, started doing a few guys, and then meeting more people, and just doing a few bars and stuff. And then, obviously, then we did Super Chunk with some mates we met in Cool House.
So when was Super Chunk born? Because you had some great guests on that.
Yeah, so we that was around the time when we were going to Cool House a lot. And then there was obviously a Cool House, which is like techie, housey, and a little bit of techno in there. And then there was obviously Time Flies, who's been there since around the time, because they were in the ice rink, I think, which was like techno. There was nothing in, because we were like into like quite drummy, techie stuff. So that's called Super Chunk. So that's why we called it name. That's why we set it up. So yeah, we had like Tom Nelson, Phil Kieran to start with. And our first night was supposed to be in the Emporium, and literally a week before they shut it.
Do you know what? That's bad luck, because it would have been a different experience for you guys. Where did you actually do it? Was it over in Reds? Is it
Red Rooms? In the Red Rooms, it was in the Red Rooms. I mean, you guys coming down a couple of times, and what was good about that time was that there was some really, really good. I mean, everyone sort of at the time the clubs in Cardiff aren't that good, but actually compared to now, they were pretty good. And then everyone, even though people were doing different nights, most people got on. It was like really, we go and visit each other's nights and stuff, and it was really good in that way. Everyone sort of supported each other. But yeah, no, it was the Red Rooms, and then we did the Union. Which is now, is it still? I'm not quite sure what it's called now. Might be for ages. It's the
that's the one. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah, that was a big one with the step down the dance floor. Yeah. Did you have
John Carter? We had Tom Steffen.
Tom Steffen. Wow, that was a great booking.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah. The night wasn't as popular as we thought it would be. And then
his sound was quite. I loved his sound.
Really, and that's what we were going for, really. Then we had FC Kahuna. That was quite cool. Phil Kieran, an absolute legend, a couple of times. John Carter played for us a few times as well. He was good value, good fun. So yeah, and then we had and then like with you guys, we did. I mean, you did a couple. We did a couple in Wish. And then that was that sister club in Swansea. We did a few of them as well, and also in the Red Rooms. So yeah, we did all right for quite a few years. Didn't have a clue what we were doing, just booking people that we wanted to and having a party, really.
So so was you doing producing at that time? Or was it because obviously, like you said earlier, you had a sort of musical background with playing the drums and was it guitar? You say so keyboard. So was was there always something about in mind? Do you know what, I want to make music?
Yeah, I've always thought that. So at university, me and a guy called Ed Mant, who's a trance producer now, we used to just muck around VJ and stuff, spend hours on it. And I even remember at an early age getting a Commodore 64 and like literally writing a program with it, like getting you used to get a textbook thing.
Yeah,
you used to write a program in it. It used to take you hours to do it.
Yeah.
So, and there was also a point when I was in college, I nearly just pulled out of it, stopped doing what I was going to do to go and do music tech and stuff. Like literally, I went to the course stuff, but my teacher's like, just finish your A levels, and if you want to do that, to go back into it. And the bright lights of Cardiff were calling me, unfortunately. So yeah. So and then I just started learning Reason and stuff then.
Yeah.
Which is a good place. Yeah, but I didn't really release it. I had a couple of releases, but nothing really big. But then didn't really take it seriously until probably 2004, 5.
So was it Reason what were you using back then?
Was Reason to start, and then moved into Ableton. So I've been on Ableton since like Ableton 6 or 7, I think.
Yeah, and still Ableton.
Which is
still
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Just love it, really love it. And I think most people that are into sort of like tech housey music and house music do that. But there's obviously a lot of people like Apple Logic is one of the other main ones, I would say. But then there's still, I know people that are making some really good music from Cubase still. Cubase is one of the first ones. It's still around. It's really good. So I do on the side, I work for an organisation called Mixmasters, which is like an online education. So we work with like artists like David Morales, Marshall Jefferson, Huxley. Yeah. Well, that's the weird thing. It was like I remember doing a summit with them, and I sat there interviewing, and there was like 500 people online. Yeah. I was interviewing David Morales, and I didn't really. I was doing half, and it's halfway through. I was like, I feel really nervous. I didn't realise, and I just clicked to me for about 6 months ago. You were sat in your room not doing anything, and now you're sat in front of like speaking to David Morales, interviewing him for an hour. And I was like. But he was cool. He was good. He was an absolute gent.
Was he?
Cool. But yeah. But I've been involved in a bit more production side of it, and that has really, really helped my production. Like I reckon I've learned more in the last 18 months than I've done in the last sort of 5-6 years.
Really?
Just by being around that environment and learning off people. I learned really well by doing and watching rather than like textbook and courses and stuff. So I'd recommend. That's one thing I want to do. You got to learn the trade within the DAW, but then you also got to learn the marketing stuff as well. Because as we're chatting before, being out of the game so long, you got to catch up the new marketing like techniques stuff. What is it like? I had an Instagram, but didn't really use it properly. Facebook was a bit more. I didn't really know anything about it. Didn't know anything about Facebook ads or anything like that. So it's been a steep learning curve really the last few years. But no, on Ableton now. And I don't think I move off it yet unless something amazing come. Although the new Logic looks pretty cool.
Do you know what I think? It's when I sort of tried a bit of sort of music production, and I think. When people say, "Oh, you got to use Cubase, you got to use Logic, you got to use Ableton," and I was just jumping around thinking, "Oh no, I got to try and do this." But what advice would you say to someone? Is it just like find what you want, stick with it, and understand it?
Yeah. Stick to one, learn it well. I'd say.
Yeah.
There's always, it's like anything. Like people will argue like Ableton's best or Logic's best because you can get better sound out of it. Whatever. It's just a different tool. It's different to what comes out the other end. Is always an argument around making your sounds itself, sound design, or using loops and samples. It's like, well, who cares? Like, average Joe in the middle of the dance floor doesn't care where it comes from, as long as it's pumping and they're enjoying it and it makes them have a good night. How it's made, no one cares about. So my advice would be to just play with a couple, see how you find them, stick to one, and just know it really well inside out. And then don't start getting diverted by trying to buy loads of VSTs and all that, because it won't make you a better producer. They're just tools to help you get a better sound out at the end of it. That's all it is.
Do you use many sort of add-in plugins, or do you use what it's in Ableton, or do you use sort of what's your currently, what's your favorite one then?
Oh, I got sort of telling my favourite child. I know. So there's probably so the ones in Ableton actually are really good. They just don't look pretty.
Yeah.
Like so, you buy a VST and it'll look really, really pretty, and it always is quite cool. But probably does the same thing as a lot of stuff in Ableton.
Yeah.
Ableton, like synths are really good. Drum racks are really good. A lot of the audio like plugins there are really good as well. So
yeah.
Saying that though, my favourite synth is probably Sub Bass Boom, which is Rob Papin one. It is amazing for bass lines. Like obviously it's really, really cool. I'd say if anyone wants to get ones around really good bass lines, especially chunky bass lines, that's a really good one to have. And then there's my other one that I use all the time on everything is Nicky Marrero. It's a
oh, nice.
It's a side. It acts like a sidechain compressor, but it's not. So what it does is an LFO. So basically, you can put it on the end of the channel, and you can move the sound so the sound dips in any certain point. So obviously, it's really good compression because it means if you've got a bass line, it's going to take that sound away from the kick, so it doesn't get muddied.
Yeah.
But you can use it on ARPs and stuff. So you can hear some of my tracks or hear some of the ARPs that pop up in weird places.
Yeah.
Because you can move the sound around on it. It's really clever.
Wicked.
It's really clever. Yeah. So I'd say those two would be my favourite. I use them on pretty much everything.
Yeah. So they're always on an andThen. So
yes.
Section. Always.
Definitely.
So where do you start? If you get an idea, do you start right? All right, you just write the sort of the groove of it. Where do you start with an idea? How does it all come about for you first? How do you start?
So I'm trying to think, but there's two different ways. One, I just sit down and just so I've got a really good process now of doing it. So I'll look at an old project I've got. And then I'll strip it back, take everything out of it. Because the worst thing you want to do every time is you want to have a template that you start with every time. Because if you have to set up your whole project from scratch, it takes ages. And by the time you set it all up, you think, oh, bloody hell. So the best thing to do, get an old project, delete it, unless you're going for a new sound, but delete everything on it.
Right.
And then I start with just literally like a 16-bar loop. And I'll build I start with the kick, and then the drums as a 16-bar loop. That's all dance music is just loops. And then I'll write the bass line into it. I think this is quite groovy. And then I'll double it to 32 loop. Then I'll start putting the melody in or some tops in. And then I'll go down, I'll do a breakdown. And then what I'll do then is just literally cut and paste and build it out.
So everything is, so the foundations of an andThen track then starts off with the similar, and then you just build on that. So
so what you do, I'll have like a 16-bar loop, and then I'll turn to 32-bar loop, and then I'll add percussions and stuff in there to keep it groovy, because you don't want the track that's too loopy. I'll do it like that. Another way I do it is if I'm going to rip something off or sample something, I'll start with that. So if I've been asked to remix something, or if I've got an idea, so I've heard something on the radio before, that would sound really good. I'll start with that as the basis then and try and get in key and work around that way. But I'd say probably 9 times out of 10, I'd start with that 16-bar loop and build from there.
So, and then started 40 months ago. And how many tracks have you done since in 40 months?
Well, I had out. I don't know. I can tell you how many tracks have I made or had released.
Well, I've released. Well, but I think we made. I think that but how many have released?
Released probably about 9.
Wow! So in 14 months, you just started on that, and you've got 9 tracks on release. That's amazing. You really Sometimes do you take a step back and thinking, wow, I've got 9 tracks out there, and that's just been going on just over a year.
No, well, I do, but sometimes I think, well, that's not 12 tracks. Because my target was to have one every month.
Right.
So I know that was ambitious. So I think after my next release, which is on Circus, I've got a bit of a gap, because I've literally been churning. I mean, getting them out and getting them released and stuff. So I've just got loads going around to labels at the moment, doing the rounds, and that takes a while to sort anyway.
Just gonna let everyone know, Luke, as well. So Luke he's got 2 kids, twins. He's got he's married. You've got a day job, and you've got a dog.
Got a dog,
and you run Mix Masters,
producer.
So you released 9 tracks in 40 months. I think we had to have to, buddy. And you want to do 12?
Thanks, mate.
So all that as well. So it's not just you're not just producing, you're doing all that as well. So
yeah. Thanks, mate.
That's
Thanks, mate.
fair play to you, mate. That's brilliant. But
Thanks, mate.
But
yeah, no, it's been good. When you say it like that, it is good. It is good. And I do reflect, I think, and I've done I've also done some stuff on the side under another alias, doing some garage stuff as well. So I've had a couple of ones to get. So I've had a couple of tracks with like the Beatport Top 20 for some garage stuff, quite a big label, and then I've like tickled the Beatport Top 20 with a track and a release, and then I was on. It wasn't my track though, but I was on a track source #1 with Cubism.
Wow.
So yeah. When I look back, it's not been a bad year, I suppose.
It's exactly. Well, and to be fair, with this, we talk about next month's release. It's a huge label. So if you're looking at 40 months, you've got 9 tracks released. Yeah, but next, and you've had some on quality labels so far, but there is a different step now. What you got next month? So Circus Recordings. How the hell did that come about? What happened? How did you do it?
So it's a bit random. It's literally just an Instagram conversation with Yusuf.
Was it
that simple? Yeah. So normally, for example, like I've been working with Graham at Dance Transition, who's been really, really supportive. He's been coaching me around marketing and the music industry, and he supports me with like speaking to labels and stuff. But some of them, for example, like the Cubism one was done through sort of mixed masters competition, and that got to, obviously the release got to #1. Mine got to like 50 or something within the charts, and that was remixing Satek, who I've been a massive fan on for years. Like he's such good. I did a live stream with him a few months ago as well, which was really cool. And then again, even though doing this work was trying to contact labels, it's literally Instagram like chat with Yusuf. He said he's looking for some tracks with some new vocals. So I got a couple. Sent one to him. He said this one's really good, but it's not quite right. So I sent another to him and saying, "What do you think this one?" He said, "Yeah, wicked. Want to sign it?" I was like, "You sure? Are you sure about that?" So yes, it's going to be on a release of a couple others. So like, as Yusuf have released in on it as well. Anna Nevis. It's like some people have been buying tracks for years on it. I'm like, it's just bonkers. Like, absolutely bonkers. And also, like, as you know, because you've played with him a few times, and obviously just DJ for you, like, what an amazing bloke Yusuf is, and also Tom at the label was so supportive, like really, really supportive. It is a bit pinchy because since seeing him play at your place a couple of times, he's been a hero of mine for years because he was on Radio 1 at that time and everything. And also the work he's been doing, like the lobbying and stuff he's done in the last sort of year, and like supporting the industry has been fantastic. So it is a bit pinch myself, and it's I'm excited and looking forward to it. Yeah.
Oh no, mate! It's when I seen that, I know you said something that was on your Instagram account, and it's like some big news came in. And when I seen it, I think, oh my, do you know what? I'm so pleased for you. I was thinking,
thank you, mate.
Because it's like I know that Yusuf's been working hard on that label for years, and obviously with the club night as well. And he's so it's and everyone will know what a recognizable sort of label to get something released on. Well, so when is the release dates, and how can people buy it? How do things work these days?
So there's pre-release and save things. So so obviously be on Spotify, but I've got to double check if it's on Beatport and or Track Source. I'm not sure. I think it's on both. But it's out on the 6th of August. But you can I think you can pre-buy it a week before. So obviously I'm going to be hammering the socials the next sort of week or so with that. So so you can buy it. You can just stream it on Spotify, or you can buy it on Beatport or Track Source.
So I'll put a link in, and I'll help you push this as well because we want you to do another one and another one and another one on Circus.
Absolutely, I'd love to. I'd love to.
One question: if you could do a remix of one track, so right, okay, what track would it be? Have you got a favorite track? I know it's difficult. What's your favorite track? But if someone said, you can remix a track and release on Circus Records or Save Records, whatever you want to, that there's a highlight for you, what would it be?
So on Circus, it would be anything by Jansen's. His tracks at the moment are absolutely amazing. And is it the one he had out last year that sort of smashed everywhere was amazing track, really good. That female vocal on it was really cool. So that'd be really cool to do. But then any track, the thing is, the tracks that I love, I wouldn't want to touch because I don't want to ruin them. It's like, it's really difficult, isn't it? Because like, I remember when you got where your first t-shirt came out was also Amstel Limited. I'm like, I loved it. That's one of my favorite tracks ever. And also your message and like your story of why you did it and all that.
Yeah.
And I had a very similar moment to that track, and it's like, I'd love to remix something like that. I really would.
Would you?
I love that track. But again, it's such a big tune. You're like, oh, do I really want to touch it?
Yeah,
but actually behind you, but behind you, anything by Peace Division. So I've just done. I've got a mix coming out tomorrow on Data Transmission. So it's my first sort of spotlight mix for them.
Yeah,
which is really cool to help promote the release and everything as well. But I've put in a few old chunky tunes in there. There's like Peace Division on there.
Yeah.
Because I think that sort of style that we used to listen to and playing stuff a few years ago is sort of coming back in a different form. Sort of being refreshed.
Yeah.
So something like that, I'd like to give it like a Peace Division track and give it like a new flavour, I think.
Because that's what I remember about you guys, you know, you and Di, obviously when we played for us in Kulos, you loved that sound. And that's obviously where Superchunk was born as well, because you played a lot of those drums, percussion. So, well, listen, you know, get in touch with Justin or Clive and say, yeah, send us few over. You never know. Listen, you've got to listen to Circus Records now, so you can start speaking to people.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'll get a couple on Circus before I start approaching people. But yeah,
What so to producers at the minute, because I'm like you, 40 months down the line at the minute is where sort of I'm just getting back into it with the teacher stuff. And I'm like, so I don't know what, I haven't heard of him, I haven't heard of that, I haven't heard of that DJ, I haven't heard of that producer. So what DJs and producers would you say at the minute is to obviously, apart from yourself, that is to look out for?
Or to look out for? So there's my sort of favourite ones at the moment. I said that are Johnson's. I hope we get to work with him for Mixed Masters soon.
Yeah.
Which would be amazing to see his process and how he does stuff. Because I love his music. Obviously, he writes stuff with Bernski as well, doesn't he? So obviously, we've liked him for years. Who sort of coming up now? There's loads of people. Also, because someone's sort of like a community, there's loads of people coming up. I think are going to be massive. There's a couple of techno DJs that obviously do a bit of work. There's one called DJ Sensible, who's a live act. Yeah, he's the one that got the #1 on the Cubism. His first release got #1. Yeah, and it's because he's really good. Like honestly, he's really good. So I'd say if you like your techno and live techno, it's now for him. I'd say that. There's a guy called Jack Wood. He's really up and coming. Again, he's doing stuff around Mixed Masters, but he makes sort of like they've got sort of like a John Summit type sound. Yeah. So it's really good crossover, chunky. He's got some nice percussion in it. That's really cool. Yeah. There's a guy who was part of a duo. It's Grady. He's going to be good to watch out for, because when he was part of the duo, it was quite good. He's just doing stuff on himself now. Yeah, he does stuff for Data Transmission as well, so he's pretty cool.
So plenty.
I think I think, mate, it's like, I don't know if it's lockdown and stuff, but the amount, and also people have held back on releasing their music a little bit. There's so much good stuff coming out. So much good stuff coming out. There's also like the guys on Traded. So I've had a couple of releases on Traded, but they are really good. So like Lawrence Friend, who's one of the A&Rs there, but he releases his tracks on there. He's had stuff on like Simmer Black. He's got some really big releases coming up. And again, he's the guy that's sort of been around for years and given it another stab as well. He's got a really sort of fresh, funky, chunky sound. You really like it. He's cool. So there's loads of people coming up. There's loads of talent out there, I think.
So some advice now. So if someone's starting off into production, what advice can you give them? Because, and also as well, this advice on, because it's trying to find time. Because I said earlier, you must be like, you've got to be so props, with allocating certain bits of your day, week. You've got to spread it out with the family, with work, and obviously with the production and Mixed Masters and the marketing side of it. So what advice could you give someone who's starting off?
So I to give. So I think you're right. Be organised. So make sure you set time aside in the week.
Yeah.
Make sure, and I've got this wrong a few times, admittedly. Make sure that you get the balance right with family and stuff and all that.
Yeah.
Because with making music and music stuff in general, I could do it like all day, every day, and like.
Yeah.
But then number one, like you're going to miss your family. That's not good.
Yeah.
And also you're going to be in burnout. I found, I reckon about 6 months ago, I was like a bit, because like work, like you said, family and everything. But because I enjoy doing it,
Yeah.
I'm still online doing stuff quite late at night. And I think, but it's still, even though I'm enjoying it, it's still actively doing something. You need downtime. So downtime is really important in there. But I would say just make choices for like, I've not watched Netflix in like weeks and stuff like that. And like, if I listen to podcasts now and then, but mainly I spend the time sorting music stuff out and making tunes. That's my choice to do that, rather than, you know, I'll still go out now and then have a couple of beers like when we're allowed to, but it's making sacrifices like that, really. Not been to the gym much in the last year. Probably tell. Not to the last year, but something you need to health and well-being, especially within this industry. That can go awry for various reasons. But I'd say planning. I think we really plan it, and also my partner's been really supportive. She has been. Like with time and stuff and all that. And my kids are at an age where they go to bed sort of early-ish. So I've still got the evenings to do it, and then also in the morning, even like little and often. So some of the guys in the community we work with, like, they find it hard to find time because I think they've got to do 4 hours. If you've done half an hour, it's little habits. Even if you do half an hour, you've done something.
Exactly. It's a mindset thing as well. You've done it.
Totally.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'd say good planning, mate, to be honest. Trying to fit it in and just being, and if you really want it and you really want to learn it, you really want to do it, you will.
Yeah, completely. Yeah. So what's the next 12? What's on and then sort of radar for where do you want to go for the next 12 months? Holiday.
So for me, I've got a few labels that I'd love to get on, and I'm sending loads and loads of music. So also Jamie Jones Hot Creation would be an absolute dream. He supported a couple of my tracks, which is quite cool.
Well, there's a start then.
Yeah,
he likes the sound,
which is cool. Yeah. Well, he's downloaded them and commented, but you never know. Yeah, so he's supported those tracks. And also, I've been a fan of Moon Harbour for years. I mean, that would be an absolute dream. And obviously Nick's label, Saved. I would love to be on Saved, and then things like Kaluki, sort of newer labels like that have that similar sound. So they would be on my goals. But then I'm loving working with labels like doing stuff with Data Tradition, obviously doing stuff with Traded. I'd love to go back on Cubism. It's a fantastic label, that is. And I tried to get onto Cubism about 15 years ago. And Mark, who ran the label at the time, who still does now, was gonna sign me, but then he run it with Tony Thomas at the time. Said, no, we're not going to sign that track now. I was like, oh. It's like 15 years later, I got signed back to that label. That was quite cool.
That's brilliant. I remember Tony Thomas. I got some of his stuff, his records here, actually.
That's it. Yeah. So him and Mark were running that label. They're not. Satec was releasing lots, and I think Satec's now taking more the label over.
Yeah.
And also he's releasing on Cold.
Yeah.
So and he's only up the road, actually.
Is he?
He's in Reading Way, so he's not far from me, actually. So he's an absolute gent.
So basically, for you, then, it's targeting getting some more. It's just production.
I'm also thinking about doing the label as well. I'm having a conversation with a few people about supporting and doing the label. But I'm in 2 minds about that, to be honest. One, because of time, obviously, and the other is because there's a lot of effort to set your own label up. Naturally, sometimes it might be better to release a big label than do your own. So you've got the and then also once we can do getting gigs. So I've got 33 Hertz, which is up in Guildford, which is a lovely little club. Here. And then also you've got quite a few in London I'd like to play at, and quite a few down the south coast. So just having discussions with some of them. Hopefully, when things release properly,
So I'm your agent, right? I'm your agent. Hey, Luke, right, we've got a gig on this Saturday. Where are we going to go? Where's your favourite gig? Where would you want to play?
gotta be Fabric, innit? It's like
Yeah.
Fabric Ministry.
Yeah.
Fabric Ministry,
Yeah.
that Black Box in the Ministry. I've had some good nights in there.
Yeah.
I remember seeing you in Fabric once, actually. Was it Damo's stag do?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And
Were
we
you
were
there?
watching. No, okay. So we went the same night to see Green Velvet.
That's
In
right.
in the second room.
In the second room, that's right.
And they got those bass bins in the floor, haven't they?
That's right.
And he was booting. And I remember your face. You were like, because it was tough. It was really tough. It was a good night, that was.
So was Slam playing as well?
Yeah.
That's right. I remember that guy. Can't even. It was such a good night. I
think
can't remember you there.
It was Booker Shade in the main room, wasn't it? I think.
That's right. Yeah.
That was so. I'd love to play there. Any room in there. I'd play the toilet. I would. Zoo Project. I'll tell you what, I'd love to play Riff Raff as well. So obviously Lee Pennington's night, and got to know him recently. It's the last 6 months because of mixed masters and different things, and they've got such a wicked vibe up there. And they've got some actually talking about producers up and coming. They've got people like Joe McKenna. They've got Lewis Southall. They've got some really good producers up in that like Middlesbrough sort of northeast area. It's hot. Like
those boys know how to party there as well. Northeast boys know how to party as well. They know how to put a good night on. Because Shindig's up in Newcastle, isn't it?
Shindig's Newcastle, yeah.
It's,
and obviously, I'd love to play at Circus one day.
Wow.
They've got some banging events, haven't they?
Yeah. Well, I've seen the lineup they got coming up. My goodness,
it is big, isn't it? It's really big.
Well, buddy, I just wish you all the best. It's great to speak to you. I haven't seen you for a long time. And I mean, I know we've been speaking. You've been a great help to me as well with my new venture and helping out as well. I appreciate you taking some time out to have a chat as well. So August the 6th, Circus. And what's the track called again?
It's called Changes.
Changes.
Yeah, and actually it's quite a good, the main song, is it? We've got to keep on dancing.
Yeah.
So it's good timing.
Perfect. Well, Lukey B, and then I wish you all the best. Thanks very much, buddy.
Thanks, mate.